Tonight, we look at the history of television, those shows that were only on for 13 weeks or less, one season wonders. Their bodies litter the highway of the television landscape, some known, some unknown. You are about to enter one series, one season. Thank you.
Yeah, could not have been better said myself. The man of 1,000 voices, JJ Bruno, is back.
I want to start off with a show that I think everybody's heard of. It's kind of like saying that this show is the pinnacle of how bad television series can be, and that is Pink Lady and Jeff.
If I'm not mistaken, I probably am, but I'm just gonna say it anyway. I think they might have re-aired it because they didn't have anything else to re-air.
Well, this is what happened. Jeff Altman, who is a great comedian, if you've ever seen his stuff,
yes,
and he was on Letterman a lot. He was one of those guys Letterman would have on and make you crack up. He was getting into his own, and there was a duo in Japan that had been covered by CBS called Pink Lady, which had like they were like the equivalent of like the Japanese Beatles. You know, and I don't mean to sound
wow.
Yeah, they were big in Japan. They would sell out like, all these stadiums in Japan and stuff. So Fred Silverman, who was the head of NBC at that time, and Fred Silverman has had the distinction of being the one gentleman who's gone to each network and saved it from falling apart. So he went to CBS, he went to ABC, and then his final stop was NBC. So he sees this and says, I've got a great idea. And Sid and Marty Krofft are involved in this. The Krofft brothers are involved in this after they had done all those shows,
Nice.
Let's get Jeff Altman and pair him with these two Japanese ladies, these two Japanese girls, and we'll make it like a variety show. We did it with Sonny and Cher. We did it with the Captain and Tennille, Donnie and Marie. Hey, what can go wrong here? Well, Altman said the first day he's in the studio, he sees them and there's a guy standing there. And that's their interpret. They don't know any English. They do it like, I'm going to say it like this is like, it was like every time you watch it, when they spoke to Altman, it was like, Jeff, what do you do? Yeah, it was like that. Yeah. They were like, do we have to do this right now? You're going to hot tub with us, right? That was the highlight of the show. They put on bikinis and get in the hot tub. Okay, that was the end of the show. But they would do these like versions of like Boogie Wonderland and like all these like they did a melody of Beatles songs one time, and it was so bad. But there's a silver lining in this because Jim Varney was on it.
Nice. And
so was Anna Mathias. They were part of the variety show crew. And Jim Varney was, this is where he developed, or I think he this is before Ernest P. Worrell, when he was doing that. So he was doing all these characters and stuff. But the show is just known as one of the worst shows of all time. It's so bad. I mean, it's like you want to put your foot in the television set. You can understand why Elvis shot his television sets. This would have warranted a bazooka through the set, And they hyped it up. They hyped it up like crazy. They were saying, Japan's newest big singing sensation, Pink Lady and comedian Jeff Altman are going to be on NBC this fall. And they were hyping it, and when people saw it, they just went, And the first episode, I think they had Hugh Hefner and Greg Evigan from BJ and the Bear.
Really?
Yeah.
That far back?
Yeah, I think that's the first episode because they were like hype. They did that. They would like let's bring on some stars. Oh, and Hefner brought on some playmates with him too. So that was the big thing. Like, they get in the hot tub. There are the playmates with Hefner, And Hefner's just like, are you enjoying the hot tub? So, of course, Jeff gets in with his tuxedo, as a joke, and it's ha 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 ha. But the show is known as one of the worst of all time, and it's the one that kind of it was starting to make you think that Fred Silverman was not infallible as they think he was, So that's the one I remember. That's the golden turd.
Speaking of turds, I know you wanted to talk about Milton Berle and Forrest Tucker, who
God, yeah.
everyone talks about their talent, but everyone forgets about
they were the biggest dicks in Hollywood.
Yeah, just impossible to work with.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about how Jim Belushi was a sexist on SNL and all the other guys, and it's like, no shit. But like
John was the one who was basically, he would say things to piss people off, from what I understand.
Right. And these guys were basically the Chevy Chases, where they got the talent, but boy howdy, behind the scenes, everyone hated their guts and just would clap when they left set.
Milton Berle was known to be the guy who was when he was he's the one guy they don't show the Saturday Night Live TV show from repeat. They don't show it. It's like Zappa. They won't show Zappas.
They won't even show 80s SNL.
No. I mean, they'll show 80s SNL, but they won't show, like, there's certain things like I have watched where it was like how.
But it really got infamous.
Yeah, it was infamous for, him, basically playing up to the audience and whatnot. So that's what killed it, But, he came back on NBC and, it's sad because towards the end of his life, when you watch the interviews, he mellowed out a lot.
It is kind of wild. It's like kind of like Eric Estrada, where you're just known for just being just horses' asses, and then once your hit show ends, you're in just all these shitty movies, and then years later, they finally just barrel down, and they're like, it takes either them having like a religious reawakening or just finally just looking in the mirror and realizing, man, I didn't realize what I had and what such a scoundrel I was.
Well, they kind of, or they do this, they go, it's not how it was when I was in this day and age. And, I have to say that things are a little bit different from when I was on television. Totally. Well, yeah, it was live, so that's what happened. Then there's certain, I was looking at like television shows that there's one show that I always kind of look and I was like, I never heard of it, but I know about it. And it's a show called Blansky's Beauties.
Blansky's Beauties.
Okay. 1977. Gary Marshall.
Oh, you did tell me about this.
Okay. Yes. Gary Marshall had an idea. He was going to
Pat Maria.
That was Mr. T and Tina. But he had an idea.
I've heard of this. Oh my God.
Yeah. He had an idea to do it where he had Nancy Walker, who just got off of Rhoda. All right. And she was a commodity. She was a hot commodity. So you had Nancy Walker, right? You have Linda, what was her name? Linda Goodhead. Or Linda, no, not Linda Goodhead. What was her name?
Austin Powers' name.
No, I know. You had Karen Kay. You had Linda Goodwill, Linda Goodfriend, who would play whatchamacallit, Mary Beth on Happy Days. In fact, that's how she got the job. I'll tell you, that's an interesting story. Then you had Scott Baio and Eddie Mecca. Now, Eddie Mecca was doing Carmine Ragusa. His character is Joey DeLuca. Joey DeLuca is Carmine's cousin.
Mm-hmm.
And this is taking place in modern day Las Vegas. And then you got Scott Baio, who's playing Anthony, Joey's kid brother, right?
Right.
So Eddie Mecca was doing double duty, right? And then Scott Baio was doing, I think, a little double duty on um, Happy Days and Blansky's Beauties. And Gary Marshall, they thought, Gary Marshall had the golden touch, because you got to realize at that time he had The Odd Couple on TV.
Yep.
He didn't have Mork and Mindy on yet, but he had Laverne and Shirley and Happy Days.
I'm so glad you mentioned this, because I was totally going to mention Joni Loves Chachi and some of those other awful.
Yeah. There's other shows he did that just tanked, but this show was on for 13 weeks. Then they retooled it to another show called Who's Watching the Kids. All right, so
wow.
they kind of took that out. They retooled it to Who's Watching the Kids, which had, if I remember correctly, it's Linda Goodfriend, Carol Kay, Marsha Lewis, Tammy Warren, Scott Baio, Larry Breeding, and Jim Belushi in one of his first roles as Burt Gunkel, the cameraman. So this is on from 78 to 79. So this kind of, it kind of like they go from like point A to point B, and they retool it, and like Gary Marshall's like, just cancel it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll fix it. But that was the thing. They did 11 episodes of it. So basically, it's two shows. It's the same premise, but it doesn't work. So that's an interesting thing. And then he had another show that was a spinoff of Mork and Mindy.
Right. And everyone forgets Mork and Mindy started on Happy Days.
Mork and Mindy started on Happy Days, and then there was another show after that called Out of the Blue, which was about an angel.
Yes.
Mork and Robin Williams appeared on the opening episode.
Right. And it's just such a shame, because when you got both these shows pretty much did what every good spinoff should do. You got some lead in from the parent show, and yet it's just static.
It falls flat. And not only that, some of these shows went on to another network, and you got to compete with the network heads.
Yeah.
Where ABC's a little more, NBC kind of goes, push it under the carpet and let's see where it goes, And CBS was like that too. But CBS, we're going to come up to some interesting stuff, but that's the thing I found out, is that Out of the Blue premiered on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, who's watching on Saturday?
There's kids, and they see Mork, and they're going to be like, hey, Mork's on TV, but what the hell is this crap? And I remember seeing the ad for, Mork has a new friend, and he's really out of this world, and it's like, oh boy.
These are the kinds of shows you can definitely find from like bootleg sites, but it's too much trouble just to go to.
Oh. Well, the thing is that in the 70s, I always say in the 70s, there was what I like to call the gluttony, or too much of one thing will kill something. All right. Or you try to figure out, okay, how can we bring something back? How can we bring something like, or is it going to be successful? Like they did TV shows of movies.
Right.
Blue Thunder.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody remembers Blue Thunder.
Yeah.
Roy Scheider, Malcolm McDowell, good movie. They bring it in 1984 to ABC. They bring in James Ferrantino, Bubba Smith, Dick Butkus, and a very young Dana Carvey.
There you go.
Completely bypassing what was going on with the movie, where he destroys the helicopter at the end.
Mm-hmm.
This was a continuation. It was like they said, okay, 13 episodes, they're done. Great hit in the movies, but it just sucked on television,
And then we have Airwolf, so now how ironic.
Yeah, and you got to realize too, Airwolf was more successful if it wasn't for Jan Michael Vincent, screwing it up.
Yep.
And they bring in Barry Van Dyke, as the new pilot, and they kill off Ernest Borgnine's character,
And
which I
then you
thought was
stock footage, and then it's
yeah,
like you just coast it. No other show could do that nowadays. If you
no,
did that now, people would instantly get wind of it. People on behind the scenes would text a photo, and so it's just so funny how back in the day when they would be gasping at straws and just try
oh
to keep it
well,
alive when it just doesn't work that way.
well. Do you remember the movie Logan's Run?
Yeah, and they did a show of that too.
They
Yeah.
did a show of Logan's Run in like about a year or two later, and they were expecting it to be, a big hit, and what happened? Poof, bye bye, because it didn't have that. It didn't carry over the capability. They the movie explained so much more. The
Yeah.
TV show now it had aliens in it, and there was Donald Moffat, who was a great actor as an android, and then who was it? Francis didn't die. He was still chasing Jessica and Logan around. So it was like
Yeah.
it was like The Fugitive,
And
and
like to say the reworking is awkward because it's like it's following the movie yet it's not, and so it's just
yeah,
confusing viewers who kind of want to know what's going on.
yeah, this happened. No, it didn't. Yeah, it did. No, it didn't. What happened? No.
It's
You
like
know,
they thought audiences are just too dumb, so they're just like, let's just confuse you and just make it even more underwhelming. And I mean, at least with Buck Rogers, it's like it was going to be a show, and they just had them much like any other Glenn A. Larson thing. They did what they did with Battlestar Galactica, the original, where it's like, okay, the pilot movie's going to be edited together as a 2-hour thing, and that's the lead in, and then you want to see the rest of the story, tune in this fall.
yeah. And the great thing about Battlestar Galactica was it had that following, and ABC didn't realize it.
No,
But the reason why ABC canceled it wasn't because of low ratings; it was because of the expense of it.
right?
I mean, I think it was like 500 to 750 an episode.
Years before Fox and NBC would do it, they were doing it,
Yeah,
and it was just
and they were just like, we got to pull the plug on it. And I still think if that second season had happened, it would have been really great. But unfortunately, and then that paves the way for Mork and Mindy. So it was kind of like, one led to the other. But it's kind of like this. It's this whole backstory you hear about, certain things where they say, well, this happened, and then but this show came on and did gangbusters.
right. Of all the shows you're going to replace it with. I take it, since we're talking movies that became lackluster shows, I take it you saw Ferris Bueller's TV show.
Yeah. Oh.
Jennifer Aniston's debut.
No. Oh yeah. Oh.
They did Weird Science as well, and it was just
Weird
like
Science.
you can't replicate John Hughes, especially for TV.
You can't do John Hughes. I'll give you one that nobody really realizes that was done. And I'm looking at all these shows right now where I was like, good movie, great movie, but terrible TV show. The Invisible Man.
The
with David McCallum.
Oh, okay, shit. So you're going way back before the 2000s version.
Okay, they do The Invisible Man. They remake it where he's actually like a crime fighter, right? So they do that. It doesn't do well. Then they put it as the Gemini Man.
Yes.
All right. Now, if you watch Mystery Science Theater, you remember that one, the Gemini Man, with Ben Murphy.
Yes,
right?
That was a pilot.
Okay. Gemini Man replaced the Invisible Man, so they kind of like they screwed around with it, right? So it's like you see David, David McCallum. He was known for Ilya Kurkurin. He still is a viable name at that time, and
Man from Uncle,
Man from Uncle,
still, and later
Stalag 17, Sapphire and Steel, like you said, right?
Yeah.
Then they pull the plug on that, and then they say, okay, listen, we're going to bring it back as Gemini Man, but the thing is that we're going to have it where it's Ben Murphy because he'd just done Alias Smith and Jones.
Yes.
Yeah, which unfortunately is one of the biggest tragedies. If you read about, Pete Duell killing himself.
It's like rivaling what's his
John John Eric Hexum on Cover Up. That's all I can think about.
It's similar to the dude who was the face on Hogan's Heroes. This definitely has that shady, just underline where you're like, man.
Oh yeah.
All these unhappy faces on famous shows.
Yeah. Bob Crane.
That's it. Yes,
Bob Crane. Yeah. They did that, and they said, okay, he can, we'll give it to Ben Murphy. He'll do it. And the show, I watched, the Gemini. I watched the Mystery Science Theater one, where they took the 2 episodes and kind of clumped them together.
Riding with Death or whatever.
Riding with Death, which is, then they go, hey, it's the Matt Broderick story.
Still dark. Yeah.
But it's like you watch it and you're like, okay, what's the premise on this one? Oh, he can only be invisible for like 15 minutes.
Lame.
Like, he presses it, it reverses the atoms in his body. He becomes invisible. Okay, fine, no problem. But it's like, Jesus, God, man, it was like, okay, we're going to retool it, we repackage it, we retool it, we repackage it, we retool it, we repackage it,
It was already bad enough with Space 1999 doing that. It's just like,
well, Space 1999 did a whole thing where it was Barbara Bain and Martin Landau. That first season is a great season. That second season, it gets to be too much like Star Trek.
Yeah, too much.
And the reason why, Fred Freeberger, who was with Star Trek, comes in and says, all right, we're going to change everything around. We're going to make it a little more, we're going to have this character here, and there's going to be this and we're going to have a shapeshifter. Where in the first season you watch, it's Victor Bergman, who I thought was one of the best characters on television. The guy who played the doctor with the big sideburns. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah, he was cool. But then they mentioned him. They killed him off, and they got rid of like some of the other characters, and you're like, oh Jesus God, Oh man. There's also a thing I remember where they would where Ernie Kovacs said the best thing ever about this: when someone has a great idea on television, you take it and then beat it into the ground.
That's what they do.
Well, Love Boat became big in '76, and all of a sudden, NBC and CBS were like, we need something that could really, divert the attention and get the viewers, over. So CBS decides to make a show called Flying High, which is about 3 stewardesses and their wacky exploits, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got NBC with Silverman doing one of the most expensive TV shows ever called Super Train.
Yes. Oh man.
To which Silverman said, "Oh, it's just going to be, whatchamacallit on Love Boat on Wheels."
Yes, I heard of this.
Yeah. Those shows tanked because first off, who's going to be interested in three stewardesses when you're on a ship and you've got all these people that are coming on because it's a hot thing, and they couldn't really get a lot of people on Flying High, I think, from my opinion. But Super Train, they had, and then they repackaged it as the all new Super Train, but it was still the same show.
Yes. It's just too much repetition and confusing the viewer because they're expecting another show.
Yeah, it's like
on at that time.
Oh wow, it's all the super. Wait, it's the same friggin' show. Why are they putting this? It's like what they did with Rising Temperatures. They had a great cast with Cleavon Little and James Whitmore, and then they retooled. They put in.
Years before he and his son became directors.
Yeah, and then they put in. They keep Cleavon Little, but they put in Joan Van Ark, if I remember correctly, and who was it? Paul Lynde.
Wow.
And the mom and the secretary from Carter Country was in it. I remember that too. That was a good. That's one of those shows we're gonna have to look up one time and go, why the hell were they thinking this? Um, so that's the thing. I mean, they would. The thing is with television is that you retool something. You're like you put it the all new, and you're like it's the same damn thing.
That or it's always wild when you get into kind of a measuring contest,
Yeah,
like the people at Homicide, for instance, Life on the Street hated NYPD Blue, and that became the bigger show. But I mean, I'm talking more like you say, where there's like a bunch of like you say, Space 99 or X Files or Twilight Zone knockoff shows, which
yeah,
don't
yeah,
do
and
so hot because they're basically taking rejected scripts, or they're taking the same actors and crew, but they don't realize what makes it special. They're just ratings grab is an understatement. It's just
it's like it's well, and there's also that thing that Norman Lear, we got to thank him. Norman Lear took a lot of TV shows from England and brought them over here to America.
yeah.
All in the Family was Sanford and Son was Steptoe and Son in England. All in the Family was Till Death Do Us Part. Robin's Nest was Three's Company, which wasn't,
He's like one of the few
Norman Lear.
take an English premise
Yeah.
and do it well and make it his own.
In 1983, NBC decides to give B. Arthur a TV series based on Faulty Towers.
Oh God.
Called Amanda's.
One slip and dent in the road, isn't it?
Yeah. And it was so bad. I mean, they had it where they had the foreign bellhop, right, who doesn't speak English.
Yes, gotta have that.
Named Aldo, who would have been Manuel. They have a devoted cook. They have a daughter-in-law who's self-centered, which would have been Cleese's wife on the show.
Oh, Connie Booth's
right?
Character. Okay, nice.
Yeah, and then she's got the son who's inexperienced, who would have been Polly. So, but John Cleese said it best. He said, "What'd you think about that show?" And man, he says the only thing that was missing was Basil Fawlty.
Wow.
I mean,
this sounds like it lasts for less than 13.
Well, there's a lot of these shows I just kind of look and I go, what? Why? If you watch some of the things, they were hyping it up to be like, it's going to be a big deal. Like they did a TV show of Bob, Carol, Ted, and Alice.
Wow.
Which was, hey, we're going to see some kinky. No, it's about two couples. It's just your regular couples comedy show. But then there were shows like I remember hearing about Jack Palance playing a detective called Bronk.
Yeah.
And I can't. If you ever watch Mystery Science Theater, they do the thing where they go, filmed Bronk. I wonder if everybody remembers me in Bronk.
I think so.
He played a private eye. He played a private eye, I think. And it was like, Jack Palance, he must have needed the money like Chico Marx,
It could have been decent, but it was one of those, just a bizarre casting.
Yeah. Okay, put your hands up. What? Put your hands up. Wait, aren't you supposed to be like Dirty Harry? No, I'm Jack Palance.
You're right. I'm doing my best Cannon or Perry Mason, I swear.
I'm doing my best pulling the gun and putting it in your ribs, Dick. Oh, okay. I liked you in Shane. You were really good in that. Oh, you saw that? Yeah, I saw one on the Late Late Show. Gives a shit, asshole. But you remember there was a show called Tales of the Gold Monkey?
Yes, Stephen Collins
with Stephen Collins. Uh-huh.
It was
Stephen Collins and I forgot her name. Bellazzaro produced it.
Yep.
So CBS decides to Bring Him Back Alive, which was like, okay, nobody remembers this guy, who was a, it was, everybody was doing like an Indiana Jones ripoff
They had to.
at that time.
It was easy.
Because you've got Bruce Boxleitner, who would go on to Babylon 5,
Yes.
Cindy Morgan, who was from Caddyshack.
Hell, remember his... remember Boxleitner's other spy show?
Oh, what was it? Oh, Scarecrow and Mrs. King.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think they must have given that to him to be like, "We're sorry, we made you do Bring Him Back Alive. Here's Scarecrow and Mrs. King." Really? Yeah, here you go.
Bring him back.
Ron O'Neal, who played Superfly. They had like they were like, okay, well, we'll put it out and we'll make a big stink out of it, and before you know it, people are gonna be watching it, and it just went boom. It was like, okay, everybody watch it. What did you guys think of it? What were the ratings? What were the ratings? Oh, okay. Got beat up by the $1.98 beauty show. Oh, okay.
If you want to talk Indiana Jones knockoffs, I take it you also heard of Black's Magic, starring Barney Miller.
Oh yeah, Barney Miller. Yeah, Harry Morgan and yeah.
Some
Though I
recall it
always say
being
that's
decent,
like The Magician with Bill
but
Bixby. It was decent. It was well written,
but it's just so wild
but
how
you couldn't find any words.
Yeah, I can't find a single copy of it. I'm like, this sounds so much better than most of any other show.
Well, it's like when they did Breaking Away, the TV show, and that show. I think that show is really good. I think bringing in some of the original casting, like Barbara Barry and the guy who played Mooch. He was in it, but you bring in Sean Cassidy, who was just coming off the Hardy Boys, and you've got, who else was in that? I gotta look this up.
It's like
you got Barbara Barry, you got Sean Cassidy, Jackie Earle Haley, Vincent Gardenia, who I thought that was a great, they bring the cast, they hype it up. But you got to realize, Breaking Away, great movie, but does anybody want to see the TV show? No. No. Sorry. No. Sorry. No.
Oh, God.
There's, it's like they did Beyond Westworld.
Oh,
which was 1980.
That
was Connie Selica. That was the age of Connie Selica.
Mm-hmm.
Because she had done Flying High. And then she was doing Beyond Westworld.
God, she was
which
gorgeous.
Was kind of like Westworld, but they were trying to foil an evil genius who was putting robots in the, in power.
Right.
God, they were like, grab at straws and see what happens.
Basically,
but like when you think about bad show, there's one show I know that only aired once. And it never got aired again.
That infamous
Co-ed Fever.
Yes, we talked about this last time. Yes, and just
nobody. It was the age of Animal House.
Right.
Animal House comes out in 78, 78, 79, 78. I don't remember when. So
about that time, yeah.
All three networks scramble to get their. Yeah, all three networks scramble to get their TV version. So ABC gets Delta House, which brought in some of the original cast in, which was a great idea. It runs. It doesn't do too bad. It doesn't do too well, but it's kind of like, Then NBC does Brothers and Sisters with Chris Lemmon.
Yep, Jack's son.
And then Jack's son, who's not that good actor, because remember he did Duet, which I hate to say it, I'm just sitting there going, yeah, I remember that show,
Yeah, he's been in some okay slashers, but that's about it.
Then CBS decides to make this show Co-ed Fever, right?
Right.
And it only airs once after the Super Bowl, and then it's never heard from again. It is the worst opening ever of a TV series. Look it up right now. Listen to the theme song. It's so bad.
I was fortunate enough to not see it, but it did make so many lists of like infamous shows where it's like there's where, like you said, like the network's budget went that year, and they were furious.
Yeah, they were like, we're not going to show any more of these shows. Why not? Because we're just not going to. Really? Yeah, they're horrible. Really? Yeah, you know. But I think the thing that gets me though is like they would put these shows out, hype them up, and give them such a push, and then they just they just fall apart. Or someone would say, hey, there's this guy and he's doing this show, and what we should do is do this, and maybe then it'll work the way it should work. So if you look at a show like Cover Up, which was a show about which unfortunately is the story of John Eric Hexum, where he shot himself in the head
Mm-hmm.
goofing around with a prop gun.
Oh.
The story was that they did it. They got Jennifer O'Neill and Richard Anderson, right?
Still smoking.
And yeah, you get Richard Anderson in, and it's like, okay, no problem.
You got the
Then
original version of
get
Holding Out
John
for a Hero.
Yeah, that was the big thing. My grandmother watched. I remember when that. And that's Glenn A. Larson right there too.
Mm-hmm.
All I remember is they were doing the show. There was a prop gun, and he shot himself. And they replaced him with another guy. And
couldn't do that
it's like,
today.
yeah, and it was kind of like they said, and then they replaced him with this guy Anthony Hamilton, who unfortunately died of AIDS. And this is weird though. Coincidentally, Jennifer O'Neill suffered a self-accidental gunshot wound in 1982 while at home. She was checking to see if a .38 pistol was loaded when the weapon discharged in her abdomen. Ooh, oh God, Jesus.
Jeez.
So the curse.
It's very much like
they had an anthology.
Yeah, and it mirrors that.
It's kind of like
and all those others.
Yeah. Do you know that Rock Hudson did a one-season show?
I think I saw it on his resume at one point, but I wouldn't have seen it.
It was called the Devlin Connection. I remember that show.
Show?
It was the last show he did, I think, right before he.
It was a spy show.
Yeah, it was him, and Jack Scalia played his son.
That's where I heard about it from. Yeah, I was looking at Jack, old people, Scalia. Oh man.
Yeah, it was weird because he just had open heart surgery in '81, and the rumor is that that's how he got sick. Because back then, they didn't do any checking for blood, and after this series got canceled, he was really, really upset with the way it was canceled. They kind of just said, "All right, you're done.
You're fucking done.
You're done." But I'm Rock Hudson. We don't care.
It's the 80s.
It's the 80s. We don't give a crap. Get the hell out of our offices. Do you know there's a show? There was a show. We're going through all these shows, and I'm bringing up shows that I know that were like there's a show called Dusty's Trail with Forrest Tucker and Bob Denver.
Yes.
where it's supposed to be like Gilligan's Island with stagecoaches.
And he was still
You know.
misbehaving at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah. He probably. For folks who've never heard the story before, Forrest Tucker reportedly has the biggest in Hollywood. I think beating out Milton Berle. In fact, supposedly he played golf with it one time.
They took each other's advice.
Yeah. Um, watch, we're not going to get anybody. You're going to get so many emails for what I've just said. Have I heard? Is that true?
Yes,
But
true.
they did that. They did that, and then do you remember? I don't know if we're old enough to remember. I just remembered they reteamed Larry Storch and Forrest Tucker on a filmation show called The Ghostbusters.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's because, and it was funny because they were like saying, "Hey, F Troop's big in reruns. Why don't we just get the two of them together and see what happens?" And they did that show.
Good.
They did that show, and they said, Conga the gorilla trained by Bob Burns, but it's really Bob Burns in a gorilla outfit. But
Wow.
the show is funny to watch because you don't know who's going to turn up in it. And then they did the Monster Squad. Did you ever hear that show?
I do vaguely, like, I think it replayed on Fox channels. Yeah.
It was Fred Grandy before he was Gopher, and he played a student who worked in a wax museum, who worked with a computer, and the vibrations of the computer freed up Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman, and they became like a crime fighting team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the people who were on that show, I literally had to just take a double look to see who was on it. Marty Allen, Jonathan Harris. I'm trying to think who the heck else was on that. Just it was just fun to watch. But yeah, I mean, we're rambling around here and stuff like that. But when I was saying before about people who they come up with these ideas for the Waltons was big in the 70s, right? It basically changed the landscape, right, of television with the way it was. So all these shows started to come on that were embracing like the Waltons. There was a show called The Fitzpatricks. Watch the intro. It is one of the lamest intros ever in my life. It's the wife basically does this look of, she's like she gives like that look of like, whoa, what else happened? And you're like, oh my God, can I just, it was hard. It was hard to watch, And then there's the Mackenzies of Paradise Cove. There's trying to think what else. Shoot. Oh, what was it? Apple's Way.
Apple's Way.
Apple's
It
Way.
was like a Green Acres wannabe, or
No, it was supposed to be like the Waltons because Earl Hamner had a thing about it, and Earl Hamner basically said, "All right, green light it and let it go through," and it didn't have the touch. A lot of times they would cast, it didn't have that quality, that thing that keeps it going, So that's what happens. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, there's television shows I was looking at. I was just doing my research, and I was like, oh God, I remember that show. Dark Room was a horror anthology series. Yeah, James Coburn did the
narration. But wasn't
narration.
Amanda Donahue from LA Law on a key episode?
Yeah, Billy Crystal was in one.
It was, some people really loved it. Other people thought it was too violent for TV or something to that.
Other people thought it was too scary or too violent.
Even when they weren't showing anything.
Yeah, it was like, what's going on? Well, the guys, but where? It's there. It's too scary, too violent. Well, gee, I don't know. Is it? Is it really that bad? Um, there was a show called Ellery Queen.
Elder
Nobody really
Queen.
Ellery Queen. Yeah, it was based on a. It was a bunch of detective stories. Like Nero Wolfe came out with William Conrad in it.
Right. And everyone, and that's like you say, is like couldn't go a single TV season without a twin show. Just like same thing with movies. There had to be two films about ghost
Yeah,
possessions or a hostage takeover, or it's, you know, it's
yeah.
clear producers were
Well,
borrowing scripts.
they would get a script. They'd be like, okay, we'll do it like this. Okay, and see how it happens. We'll throw it up against the wall. And if it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, you know, okay, 13 weeks and we're done. That's it. Some shows, were one season and then, you do remember them, a hazy fog. Some shows, you hear them brought up in conversations. You're like, oh God, yes, yes, yes. Holmes and Yo-Yo.
Holmes and Yo-Yo. Wow.
Okay. John Shuck plays a cop. John Shuck, and I forgot who else the heck else was in it. Holmes and Yo-Yo, right? It's known as one of those shows you're like, I do remember it, but I don't remember it. Oh wait, I do remember it. It was John Shuck and Richard B. Shull. And Richard B. Shull keeps losing these partners. So they give him this guy, Gregory Yo-Yo Yovanovitch, who's John Shuck. And you'd know John Shuck if you saw him because he was the Klingon ambassador in Star Trek 4.
Oh yes, that
Yeah.
and later
He,
the like chief of police on SVU, and yeah, he's you
yeah,
see him
yeah.
saying, and he just has that
Great character.
intimidating face, like
No,
oh.
no, he started out in comedy.
That's the irony. You see him in all these serious roles, and he's got a comedy background.
He's got a comedy background because he worked with Altman on 2 movies, and he was also the police guy in McMillan and Wife. If you remember that, remember
That's
he
right.
was the guy. Yeah.
And
So
you want to talk Rock
so
Hudson? There's a connection. So,
yeah. So they
oh,
do this show, and John Shuck actually talked about it. He said he knew it was bad because they kept using the same set over and over again. They would just film it at different angles and just move
right.
the furniture around. But the thing with Holmes and Yo-Yo was that Yo-Yo was a robot, and they didn't know about it till later. So then another show comes out called Future Cop, right? Which is
Yes,
about the same time. It's let's see, Holmes and Yo-Yo 76,
much
77.
like Manimal and all those other shows.
Oh well, we're gonna go into those shows a little bit too.
You got to have a
Um,
giant robot that's out of control, and
well,
only so and so can stop
Future Cop, Future Cop. It's John Amos, who just came off of uh, Good Times, right?
it.
Ernie
Yep,
Borgnine, and
always
they play
reliable.
partners. And they're given this new guy who's a robot, but they don't know about it, right? So they're like, they give him the run. He's like, it's like, my partner Johnny, don't keep a secret from you. But here's something, we got this new kid, and it's like, okay, they're taking the idea of Holmes and Yo-Yo, but making the robot like just a robot who's like, he quotes figures and facts and all this stuff. And they're the two partners that are going, oh gee, so that's what television did. They would like think about doing this and they'd put it into this and they'd throw it around. They'd be like,
Leftover ideas, share the ratings. Yeah.
I always say the one thing I always said is that um they need, if they want to get ratings, they would get ratings if they want to. But you got to realize some of the people that were doing these shows were actors and they were working. It was just another job for them.
Mm-hmm.
But I was looking at there's some shows I'm like, The Fantastic Journey. I don't even remember that coming out.
I think, yeah.
Roddy
If
McDowell was in it. Roddy McDowell, who just who was still you know Roddy McDowell, Ike Eisenman. Do you remember Ike Eisenman? the original Escape from Witch Mountain.
Oh wow. Okay. I
Yeah,
don't know the face, but I've definitely seen the original Witch Mountain. But
yeah. Um, so that came out, but let's go to the '80s a little bit, and we have two shows that are basically steeped in the world of craptacular. Um, there is the famous show Manimal,
yes,
which was Simon McCorkindale, Melanie Anderson, and I'm trying to think who else was in that.
Simon had quite a
Oh
resume. Jaws
God,
Free and Kroll. Yeah.
yeah. No, he wasn't in Kroll.
Oh, okay. I
Simon
think Sword and
McCorkindale.
was it Sword and the Sorcerer then?
No,
Wow, what fantasy movie was he in?
no. Simon McCorkindale was in. I'm trying to think. Was he in?
He
I
was in
gotta
some
see
weird
this. Hold
fantasy
on.
movie. I think it's Sword and the
Yeah, I'm
Sorcerer.
trying to remember. The sword and but he can only change to like a bird and a
Oh, Hawk the
leopard.
Slayer then.
That's the one thing I remember.
That might be Hawk the Slayer.
Hawk the Slayer. Yeah, it was Hawk the Slayer. Yeah,
Oh
might be
man.
Hawk the Slayer. Yeah, I don't remember. Great movie though. That's a great movie to watch.
Yep, lots of fun.
Between that, yeah. So, um, but I remember who the heck was in that show. There was a third guy too. Um, Jesus, I'm trying to remember who was in that show. It'll come up to me. I'll be like, oh God, yes, I remember him. Melody Anderson, Simon McCorkindale, Michael D. Roberts.
There you go.
You would know Michael D. Roberts,
I
and
have definitely seen
the
him.
late great, yeah, and the late great Rennie Santoni, who you know from Howard Stern's Private Parts or Enter Laughing.
That badass. Nice.
Yeah, that he's the guy he was Betty Thomas's boyfriend in real life. Um, but yeah, they did Manimal, and then they did Automan, which was Desi Arnaz Jr. Um, and I forgot who the hell it was Automan. All I remember is like it kind of reminded me of Turbo Teen, except it sucked. It's like he's a computer-aided superhero. Okay, so what does he do? Well, he turns into a car. Oh, that's great.
That's so helpful.
That's that's what he does. Yeah, he does that. Are you sure? I'm positive. All right, great idea. Let's take it. Let's take it to the next level. We'll give the blue light on it and see what happens. Okay, no problem. See you then. Bye. It tanked.
I take
It
it you also
tanked.
saw the similar show Street Hawk.
Oh God, yes. Oh,
Cop must have a giant killer motorcycle, and it's something else. My God.
ooh.
I saw the episode where George Clooney pops up as a thug and gets killed or some shit.
Uh,
It's some dog shit.
somebody should have slapped somebody for that.
Yeah,
I do remember. I like, but then I'm looking at some of these shows and I'm like, I remember this show. I remember this show very, very well. Patty Duke and Richard Crenna and It Takes Two.
It Takes Two.
Nobody remembers that show, but Helen Hunt was on that show. Billy Bird, did you ever watch the show Dear John?
I did not, but I've heard about it. Pop culture.
Okay,
It's a bit before me.
okay. So Helen Hunt was in it, and so was uh, Anthony Edwards. They played the daughter. I think they played the son and the daughter in that show.
Wow.
So that's kind of weird. But you see Richard Crenna and Patty Duke at that time, and then you had
That's a big
I'm
connection.
going I'm going through this. I'm going through these IMDb things, and I'm like, I remember these shows very, very well. I'm trying to think. What else? Karen. Well, Kaz, I remember because that show I watched reruns of because it was a show with what was it? Who was in that show? He just passed away.
Uh,
It was very, very well written and very, very well done. It was Ron Liebman.
Ron Liebman. Okay.
Ron Liebman. You know him. He played the alcalde in he was Jessica Walter's husband in real life.
Oh shit. Okay.
Damn. Okay. That show, he plays a convict who becomes a criminal lawyer. He created that show. That show was really good. They took it. CBS was like, well, it's not working. Great premise, critically acclaimed. It's not working.
Right. Something wacky about it.
And then there's this one, like one of the best horror anthology shows of all time, Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Right. Had no business. Just one season.
That show, I think, was taken off because Darren McGavin got sick of it.
Which is a shame.
That's Darren McGavin.
It's like one of the many, influential one-season wonders.
Yeah. And it was just so fun to watch, too. Because he did the Night Stalker and the Night. There were two.
Talk about plenty of canceled shows on here, whether it's Jericho or Captain Power, but yeah,
Life with Lucy.
Do a special
Life with Lucy. Remember Life with Lucy?
Her follow-up show.
Lucy makes the big comeback with Gail Gordon, and it's like, "Hi, I'm Lucy. How are you? I'm going to be funny and hilarious this time around." Ooh,
pretty rough. I always heard about it.
Hey, Lucy, Fred and Ethel are rotting in the ground. Just hate to say that to you, but she brought back Gail Gordon, and it was like okay, Mr. Mooney and Mrs. Carmichael, but this was like two geriatrics trying to be funny.
It's just too much. The spinoff that never should have been.
Oh no, it was like, well, she had done what? I Love Lucy.
Done some movies and TV specials.
She'd done some movies, TV specials, but the network shows were I Love Lucy, The Lucy Show, Here's Lucy. All right. She takes the break. She does MAME. She does a whole bunch of, she does the Stone Pillow. And then she has the idea of, I want to come back to television. Okay, let's bring her back to television. We're going to hype her up. We're going to bring her, it's Lucy. She's a comedy legend. And it's a fart in the wind. It's a fart in the wind,
Just very just outrageous, because you're just like, someone thought it would be worthwhile, and yet someone could have taken a look at the script just a few more times.
Well, I'll give you a show that basically was good, but was based on a British TV show called On the Buses over in England. It was called Lots of Luck.
Lots of Luck. Shit.
Okay, Carl Reiner had a hand in it. It's Dom DeLuise plays the main character. Kathleen Freeman.
It's an NBC show.
Wynn Irwin.
Wow.
Beverly Saunders. And then you had like all these people that were showing up, but it was known as it was based on the Buses over in England. And it was a good good show, well written.
Got a DVD release.
Got a DVD release, and people are getting interested in it. But you know what? Didn't do well the first time around. It didn't do well. Then you got another show that everybody looks at and goes, "Wow, I can't believe that was on for." Man from Atlantis,
Oh,
which
man.
was
going back.
Well, which was Patrick Duffy's thing, but it was like, I think that got pulled over either Marvel or DC having a little tiff. Saying,
too similar to Aquaman.
Oh, he's underwater and he Mariner. And there's some movies I remember TV shows I remember well called. Remember The Master, Lee Van Cleef?
Yep. Yeah, plenty of Lee Van Cleef ninja action. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the same guy who he's fighting. That's all I can say.
Right.
Misfits of Science,
Yep.
which was Courtney Cox's,
Debut.
introduction into the world.
Yeah.
Mr. Smith. Now here's one I remember very well, and people are going to be going, well, we got to look this up. Here's a show with Bernard Hughes called Mr. Merlin.
Shit. Mr. Merlin. Jeez.
I remember it very well, where he played Merlin, and he was teaching this guy how to become a wizard.
Wow.
But here's the thing that gets me. I kind of look back at some of the shows that were on TV when we were growing up as kids, and a lot of them were one-run shows on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
All the live action stuff that we had were one and done.
Pretty wild.
Yeah. You had Jason of Star Command.
Nice.
Yeah.
That was a fun
The Lost Saucer, Dr. Shrinker, Space Academy, Far Out Space Nuts, Arc 2. I'm trying to think what else. So like we're jumping around the map tonight, and I'm sorry if we're like confusing anybody.
It's all right. This is a nostalgia hour. So.
But I found out about the Monster Squad, though. This is what cracks me up. The Monster Squad was, when we were talking about that just now, it was Fred Grandy, Henry Pollock.
Jeez.
Henry Pollock, do you remember as the lawyer on Webster?
Wow.
Okay.
Jeez.
Mike Lane was Frankenstein. Bruce Buck Hartalian was Bruce W. Wolfe. All right. But they had people like Jeffrey Lewis. I'm going to read the guest stars who were on the show. Jeffrey Lewis, Julie Newmar, Jonathan Harris, Vito Scotti, Alice Ghostley, Arthur Mallet, Joseph Mascalo, who you may know from what's soap opera?
I don't watch soap opera.
Don't worry, you know him if you saw him. Avery Schreiber, Marty Allen, and Hamilton Camp. Marty Allen, famous for going, "Hello there."
Hello there.
Hello there. Yeah.
Hey, hello there.
Here's a great idea. Let's take a musical group that was big in the 60s and package them all over again. Hence the New Monkeys.
Wow.
There's another show, The Nut House. Mel Brooks.
Yep. It was earlier gig.
No, it was the 80s. He did it in the 80s.
Later. Okay.
Later. Okay. It was Mel Brooks and Alan Spencer, who I am friends with on Facebook. You had Cloris Leachman and Harvey Korman. And Mark Blankfield, who you would know as Blinken in Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yes.
Okay. And
oh God, that dude's awesome.
Oh, it's fun to watch. And then there was another show they did called in the 70s called Mel Brooks did called When Things Were Rotten. where it was okay. It was a comic look at Robin Hood before he did Men in Tights. So you had Dick Gautier, who was Jaime the Robot, right?
Right.
Dick Van Patten, Bernie Capel, Richard Dimitri, who you may remember as Maloney in Johnny Dangerously. You fucking ice horse.
Wow.
Yeah. Henry Pollock, Misty Rowe, Ron Rifkin, who I remember from, and I'm trying to think who else was in the show.
Rifkin, you've seen him in everything. LA Confidential, Negotiator. Yeah.
Carl Ballantyne, Steve Landisberg, who played the narrator, Paul Williams, Ron Glass. So this is Barney Miller time we're talking about.
That dude is
Robert Ridgely, who was the colonel in Boogie Nights, and Lainey Kazan. Supposedly this show was hilarious. Supposedly it was one of those shows like you had to like watch it and get into it. I'm trying to think who played Prince John in this show. Because Bernie Coppell played Alan Adale. Dick Van Patten was Friar Tuck. Henry Pollock was the Sheriff of Nottingham. David Sabin was Little John. Ron Rifkin was in where the heck do I know him from?
You've seen him in LA Confidential.
Yeah, but I know him from another movie though. He was in. I know him from. Well, I'm not going to worry about it, but I mean, I'm just going through this list of like shows that Nobody's Perfect with Ron Moody. That only lasted one season.
Did you ever see? I mean, I mentioned it when we were planning this last time. Women in Prison. It's just a very
I do remember that
lackluster A show, but yeah, CCH found her just when she was asked about it in a fun like AV Club interview. She's like, "Hey, honey, I had to start somewhere."
It was Fox's. It was part of Fox's lineup when they first started.
I didn't know what channel it was on. I just knew it was a network show.
It was on Fox, and it was one of those shows that was like Tracy Ullman, Married with Children, and The Simpsons, and they would like. It was like the Saturday shows were like not Beans Baxter, like Werewolf, My Secret Identity. It was Beans Baxter. Trying to think what else. Oh God! Here's a show that was brilliant but canceled: Police Squad.
Yes, the origin of the Naked Gun.
Yeah, 6 episodes. It's done.
Unbelievable.
And
that and Sledgehammer were both just
Sledgehammer. I loved, but you got to go with Police Squad when you're doing a show like this. Planet of the Apes.
I love that one. El Rey Network was showing some reruns, and there was even a Planet of the Apes cartoon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, there was. Who did it?
Not Hanna-Barbera, was it?
No, it wasn't. It was Friz Freleng.
Oh,
who did it?
Looney Tunes.
It was Pathé de Freleng. Pathé de Freleng did it, and the animation was very limited. Like if you watch it, it wasn't like Hanna-Barbera, but the voice Austin Stoker was in it, who played McDonald in the Battle for Planet of the Apes. And if you know Austin Stoker, he's one of those actors, Assault on Precinct 13.
Yes, he did some voice work, I think.
Yeah, he did a lot of voice work. He's also in Gemini Man too. He plays one of the scientists. And he was also in what was that one that Being from Another Planet? He plays one of the doctors in it.
Jeez, the reliable go-to authority figure.
He's a grindhouse star, man. He was one of those guys. He was in the movie Abby, the black version
the Exorcist knockoff.
Yeah.
Did you ever have Homeboys from Outer Space unleashed upon you?
Oh no, thank God.
That was a UPN show infamous for having a guest appearance by Anthony Hopkins, and I once randomly brought it up. I had some pals, we were just randomly getting together, name a bad TV show. We just got in a challenge, and I was like, Homeboys from Outer Space, and I've barely seen the damn thing. They're like, you win. You win.
Well, here's one that kind of quavers in my head when I go, what were they thinking? The Powers of Matthew Starr. Lou Gossett Jr.
Yes. They're still showing reruns of it too. And
I don't know where they show it because I haven't seen.
It's like on Get TV or Heroes and
All
Icons.
right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It was one of those stars. Like it was one of those shows. Like the thing I remember is that he had two hearts.
Yeah, it's just it looks like they use sets from like Welcome Back, Kotter or something, and they're trying to ape the whole Greatest American Hero. It's something else.
We were trying, and James Cameron's in it.
Yeah,
James, you remember James? Yeah, the Pathmark guy. Another brilliant but canceled show, Quark.
Quark. Yes, that was
Richard Benjamin, Tim Thomerson. I'm trying to think who else was in that show.
Yeah, Thomerson played like a
Gaines.
cyborg on that. If I'm not mistaken.
No, Tim Thomerson played Gene, which he had both male and female chromosomes.
That's what it was.
So if there was a fight, he would become a woman, or if there was something, he'd become a, it was like he didn't know which way to control. And it had the twins in it, the set of twins. And I'm trying to remember who they were.
I've definitely seen clips.
Oh God, I know it right off the top of my head. Yeah. Oh, the Barnstable twins. That was their big thing. The Barnstable twins were in it, and they had It was one of those shows. You're like, Buck Henry created it, and Buck Henry was such a great comic mind. He kind of said, I'm going to do something. I'm going to piss on Star Trek. And that was his way of doing it. He was making fun of Star Trek,
And they repaid it by naming Richard Ferenghi's Quark.
Yeah, I think that was the in joke too. Hey, I got a great idea. They did this. We'll do this. The Richard Pryor show, which got canceled after one season.
Yeah, he got screwed on that one, didn't he?
Oh, I'm trying to think what else. The San Pedro Beach Bums. Oh. Then there's a show called. Well, they did a TV show of Serpico. With David Burney.
Of all shows.
But I didn't realize they did a TV show of Shaft.
It was very brief, much like that, and I think Cleopatra Jones or something. They did one of those.
No, there was one called Get Christy Love.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Yes, Christy Love. You can find
Teresa Graves left because she became a Jehovah's Witness.
Right. Can't do all these violent movies.
And she didn't want to do it. She didn't want to. And they were like, well, she says, I'm going to quit. That's it. I'm done, And they kind of went, okay, you're done. Get out, And she was, there's so many shows that we look and we're like, these were done and we didn't see them, or they were just. There's a show called.
It does have that moment of truth where you're like, this couldn't have actually existed, could it?
This is you're looking at. You're like, okay, this is going to be fun, and you're like thinking at the end towards the end, you're like, this was broadcast. Oh, there was a show done in Canada called The Star Lost. Have you ever read about that?
Yeah. What's his name? Who was like later a consultant on B5. He wrote one of the best like Star Trek episodes that he.
Yeah. Oh God.
He just passed away a few years.
He just passed away. Harlan Ellison.
Wrote yes. Wrote his dog. Yeah.
And then he basically just disowned it because they just basically took it away from him. He was so outspoken about it, and not only that, Douglas Trumbull worked on the special effects, I think. But the show's premise was there's a ark ship with all these different communities in it, and basically everybody's acclimated to where they are. We have to do a show where we have to talk about just like space shows, space TV shows.
Oh, absolutely! I'll totally bring on for those.
And this show was like, what they would do is they'd film the green screen, and they'd have the actors work in the green screen.
Okay, as opposed to other way around where it's added in post.
Yeah, they would do it like or they would do some like sort of camera trick or something like that. I gotta look that up.
Did you ever hear about The Lone Gunman, which was an X-Files spinoff?
Yes, and I love that show, and I was pissed they killed him off.
Oh, that they brought him back recently when they revived X-Files again.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
They weren't dead?
Yep.
Oh my God, you're kidding me. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I see the 2 latest seasons. They're like it or hate it. I had fun with it, even though it's that there were some stumbles. But yeah, it was one of those. It just got killed off just because there's some like it or hate it aspect to it. But it definitely would have had time to grow had they given it 3 more years. But it was one of those like they were just dead in the water just because they predicted that what would happen if a plane hit the Twin Towers and
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
9/11 happened and they have to air it anyway, and so they're like, well, we'll air it, but it's going to be later after X-Files.
Yeah, we'll just shush about it. Shush about it.
I got some recent ones. Yeah, I take it you've heard of The Cape, not the 90s show,
yeah,
the 2000s show, and Community would make a joke about it, especially when they brought Keith David over and they're like, you were on The Cape. No, I wasn't. And Joel McHale later worked on like a loose readaptation of John Hughes' The Great Outdoors. And it was just one of those, is like, this has potential, but it's too static. It's just,
yeah.
it's the laugh track sitcoms are just not becoming a thing anymore.
Well, they tried doing that with Red Dwarf.
Yes, they tried that and Ultraviolet, which was like a British vampire show. But yeah, both those pilots just tested poorly just because they couldn't recapture the oddness of the British versions.
They changed a lot of stuff around when it came to Red Dwarf. And the thing was that it was Craig Burko.
Something like that. He was become a bad guy and was on Boston Legal.
Yeah, he was on the Red Dwarf pilot, and it just, sank like a stone. I got a show that nobody's really heard of, The Wizard.
Shit.
You remember that show?
Was it inspired by the movie of the same name?
No. It was with it was Doug Barr and David Rappaport. David Rappaport, you'd know from Time Bandits. He played the leader. Okay. He was this guy, Simon McKay. And all I remember is he was like this inventor. And Doug Barr was like his go-to man, right? And David Rappaport was like this guy. He was like this little, he was a midget. He was a dwarf, actually, I think. And he basically was like an inventor, and he would invent these things where it was like, it was just it was like kind of like I'm trying to think. It was kind of like I'm trying to think he was like he would make things that were so amazing you'd be like, oh my God. Like, yeah, he was like, this little dude, So but that was a good show. And then there's of course the 1979 show with Jim Belushi and Michael Keaton, Working Stiffs.
Now, did that get a DVD release too?
I think that did. And then there's another show that Martin Short did with Ailey Mills, Tim Thomerson. God, Tim Thomerson was a great stand-up comedian.
He really is a funny man, and everyone just doesn't know that. They just think he's funny and serious stuff, and it's like, no.
No. I've seen his stand-up. He made me piss my pants one time because he would do this thing where he'd be drinking a beer right on stage, and then he'd take it and just smash it on his forehead like that.
Yes.
Oh, and I'd be hysterical laughing. What was the show? It was called. It took place on Wall Street. It only lasted one season.
Oh, I think it was just called The Street.
No, The Associates.
Oh, The Associates.
Okay, The Associates. It only lasted one season. Joe Reglabuto was in it, and so was Wilfred Hyde White, and Martin Short and Ailey Mills. Yeah, it was one of those James L. Brooks shows that came out like he'd done Rhoda. I think James L. Brooks did Rhoda, right? Yeah.
This is an awesome cast.
Yeah. So James L. Brooks created that, and that was kind of like the forerunner to what Taxi was going to be. Kind of like low key comedy, funny though. So that was that. The Associates only lasted, I think, a couple of episodes, but it was funny to watch, because it was like it was laying the groundwork for Taxi.
Sweet.
Yeah, so you think about that, and then there was the Tony Randall show, which I think was on for more than one season.
Had to have been.
Yeah, where he played a judge, but then he does that show Hello Sydney.
Space.
Oh, not a. Well, that's where they got the perpetuation that he was gay because the character was gay on the TV show. And Tony Randall had been happily married for God knows how many years, But there were shows that there was Jack Klugman with his foray back from Quincy was called You Again, and that had John Stamos in it.
Oh, speaking of him, I'm glad you brought him up. I think you heard of that movie, Thieves.
Well, with Stamos.
Yeah, he was in this terrible one. It had Mrs. George a few years before she was on Alias, and later shows like Hunted and
Oh my God,
it was really bad. I would see parts of it and I'd see the trailers for it. It was just trying to be all hip and cool, like Thomas Crown Affair and Ocean's 11 and
oh, okay.
2001-02 season. And it was just one of those, like, we would always catch clips of it just because it was just airing in between primetime, TVs and the extra shows and, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and Who's Line. And we're just like, man, ABC, they should stand for a bit crappy because that's what programming they got here sometimes.
CBS was crap broadcasted, crappy broadcast. Was it crappy broadcasted series? NBC was nothing but crap. ABC was,
Yes, I had that same mentality.
I'll give you your rarity: Jeff Goldblum and Ben Vereen and 10 Speed and Brown Shoe.
Oh, yes, yep, and it's on Peacock now. So anyone,
and I want to see it, because that was one of those shows. It was so well written and a show, but yet again,
terrible time slot.
Terrible time slot. The Texas Wheelers. This is a show nobody remembers. But
was it actually shot in Texas?
It was Jack Elam, Gary Busey, and Mark Hamill.
Elam. Oh my God.
One of the first shows he did. This is way before Star Wars. And you want to know something interesting? Mark Hamill was supposed to be the elder son on 8 is Enough.
No. Oh my God.
But he got Star Wars instead.
Gary Busey's in this. Jesus. Wow.
Gary Busey was a couple years away from doing
produced by Mary Tyler Moore.
Yeah. I'll give you another show, Tabitha. Okay. Tabitha is a show that was done in 1976. It ran for 2 seasons. But yet again, it's one of those shows where it's like, short-lived. It was the sequel to Bewitched. Okay. This is where I cracked up. Tabitha Stevens is Samantha and Darren's daughter, right? So yes. They have Lisa Hartman as Tabitha, Robert Urich, Mel Stewart. I'm trying to think who else was in this. Mary Wicks. You may remember her. She was always the wisecracking actress.
Either way, it's just
she was in Sister Act. Remember she was in Sister Act? She's the older nun.
Oh, okay. Now that
Bernard Fox played Dr. Bombay.
He is a big veteran.
Yeah. Barbara Carson, that's who I was talking about from Rising Temperatures. Barbara Carson, you remember from Carter Country. She was also Gary Shandling's mom on It's Gary Shandling Show.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Second and third stage of her career.
Barry Van Dyke was on this show. Tracy Reed. I'm trying to think who else. Archie Hahn. But the show was Tabitha grows up and Adam is grown up too. But what they did was they made Adam older than Tabitha, where Adam was younger than Tabitha. And not only that, he wasn't a warlock.
Wow.
And they would have little guest stars on now and then. But I was wondering if they would always have like Paul Lynde come on. That would have been great. Hi, it's your Uncle Arthur. How are you?
How are ya?
Oh, Robert Urich.
So why did this Bewitched
Santana.
spinoff not take off? Was it just, again, just bizarre on its own 2 feet, or?
Speaking of Paul Lynde had his own TV show. The Paul Lynde Show.
There's a throwback. But
Oh,
so this Bewitched spinoff just wasn't successful
because number one, it wasn't Bewitched the way we remembered it.
Too
They
different.
brought in Aunt Minerva. They brought in Dr. Bombay, which was but it just wasn't that good. But Lisa Hartman was cute, and she looked like Elizabeth Montgomery.
Wow.
So that that'll work. And speaking of Jack Elam, there was a show he did called Struck by Lightning, where he plays Frankenstein's monster, and he has a guy named Frank who works for him, and he realizes Frank is the monster. And it was a fun show, but it only ran for 5 episodes.
5 episodes.
How could there was a show called Tattingers, which was about a store that people shopped in, and that only ran for 14 episodes.
All the stuff that could have had potential.
Yeah. Well, here I'll give you another one. Folks, buckle in. James at 16. Do you remember? That is a show that really was kind of like a dramedy.
It's got an 8 out of 10 on IMDb, so clearly a lot of people remember it, were touched.
Lance Kerwin was in it. That was his big claim to fame. So was Kim Richards. But it kind of was like him growing up, and there was one episode where he lost his virginity, and there was a big guff about it, and then they changed it to James at 16. So
wow.
There was one show. I mean, I'm looking at all these shows, and I'm like The Amazing Spider-Man. Do you remember that show? There was a live action Spider-Man TV show.
Yeah, it was during the 70s or later on.
Yeah, 70s.
I definitely have seen clips of it. I can't recall ever seeing a full episode, but many people still talk about just they'll find ways to reference the opening.
Yeah. Well, he climbs up a building. Really? Yeah, but he doesn't have web shooters out of his. He creates them. Oh, that's really great. How long? How long is this going to be on for? A couple episodes. Okay, no problem. There was also the famous TV show Casablanca.
Oh yes,
with David Soul as Rick.
Mm-hmm.
Here's one: The Brady Brides. Let's get Marcia and who's the other one? Marcia and Jan, and they get married. And Jan marries an uptight guy, and Marcia marries this really loose cannon of a guy. And I don't mean loose cannon like violent. I'm talking loose cannon like, he's really into like being fun. But they move in with each other, and guess who's their house? Guess who's their housekeeper? Alice.
Jeez.
The Brady Bunch variety. Listen, we could do this all night, and
no, it's fine.
Come up with.
I got just some other just 2000s and 90s blunders that just made you say, "Wow."
Oh, go ahead.
Law and Order L.A. It's like I'm a big fan of the franchise, but when they took it to L.A., that again, time slot, character change up, writer change up. That just one of the the lowest points of the whole franchise. And
Yeah.
the main gal on it, Megan Boone, who was later on that awful show, The Blacklist with James Spader, it just could not act her way out of a paper bag.
Is that even still on?
It is, I think. It's like season 10 already or something ridiculous. It's like people love seeing James Spader get away with murder, and even if the show sucks. But there was hell, there was Joey, which was just an awful spin-off of Friends.
Oh yeah.
Tria Damasio from The Sopranos was on it and remarked that this was the show that killed her career. No one knew what to put her in after that. It was so bad.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
Freddie,
oh God, I remember
Prinze
that
Jr.
show. And I'm friends on Facebook with the lady who played the smoking agent that he had, June Gable. I'm friends with her, and I said, "Wait, that was you on that show?" Because I didn't know it was her. She was on Laugh-In when Laugh-In was on in the 70s.
Wow.
And if you want to know something about that, Laugh-In, that show was where Robin Williams was discovered.
Correct.
Because they had a comedian on there, Lenny Schultz, who was supposed to be, and I'm not poking fun at Lenny Schultz, he's a great, great comedian, but he was supposed to be the breakout comedian, but it was Robin who was on that show, and they were all kind of like, okay, so that's when Robin got, the hit up for Mork and Mindy,
But, there you go. So she's been doing it long enough. You can't blame her for being in a sitcom, but at the same time, you're just there's so many other sitcoms you could have been in besides.
But you are right. That's the one that killed her career, because all I remember is she was on. Was she still on The Sopranos at that point?
Kind of on again, off again when they're putting her character in like witness protection, and for a while she was just doing guest spots, and then I don't know. I guess they were just giving her really crappy scripts, so she had to fire her agent. But I mean, around that same time slot, they gave Freddie Prinze Jr. his own sitcom, and they tried crossing it over with George Lopez, and it was just
that was a no. That was a no.
You're Not Your Dad, and at the same time, I mean,
who
the fuck gave you a sitcom?
Although I did like at the end when he would have his father saying "looking good,"
Right.
But
that was
the Freddie Prinze show was just terrible.
Yeah.
And then you had Brian Austin Green show up on that show.
Oh yes.
And you're like this close to saying to yourself, if Kato Keelan comes in the door, I'm leaving the friggin' room.
If some other reality show or soap opera star comes in.
Well, do you remember a show that was a spinoff of Who's the Boss, called Living Dolls?
I've heard it. If it's infamy, yes.
Michael Lerner, Mrs. Walton gets all sexy.
Oh, Michael Lerner was on this. Wow.
Michael Lerner was in it. So was Leah Remini. So was Halle. And Alyssa Milano and Marion Ross was in it. But that's the thing that got me is like, there's there was, there was this thing where I was like I saw the picture. I was like, wait a minute. That's the woman who played, Mrs. Walton. Why is she dressed up like a slut?
Judith Light was wise to avoid this.
Yeah. Judith Light and Tony Danza said, let's get in the car and run.
We made enough money. We done it.
Forget her. Keep going.
Was this near the end of the run of the original show, or
it was 89? So Who's the Boss? So they were like halfway through.
Oh wow!
And they decided to do that. And then there was a spinoff of 90210. Well, there's two. There's Melrose Place. And what was the other one? The Heights.
Oh, wow. Was this on
they had a big hit.
Fox?
This was on Fox. They did The Heights. They did 90210, Models Inc.
Oh, Models Inc.
I mean,
introduced the world to Carrie Ann
it,
Moss before her big star turn.
yeah. And then you're just sitting there, you're watching it, you're thinking to yourself, the aged hand of Aaron Spelling is now starting to go really, really thin with what he's doing. Because Spelling gave that, it's like, there was, thank God there was no there was a Saved by the Bell spinoff called Saved by the Bell: The College Years.
Oh, yeah. God.
That I'll always love, because that's where I learned where Bob Golick was a great, great comedian. But what was the other one? We always think about 90210 being such a successful show, and Melrose Place was such a successful spinoff, but there were two shows they just kind of went bye, see you later. So here's a little chestnut for you. Can you name all the spinoffs from All in the Family?
Oh, okay. So Jeffersons.
Okay.
Sanford and Son crossed over, correct? Okay.
No.
Fuck.
No.
And it's just another production. Archie Bunker's Place, and then how many more do we got?
Okay, let me go through it with you. Archie. Okay, Archie. All in the Family spins off Maude. It spins off Good Times. Okay.
Good Times, yes.
Okay. Good Times. Okay, because Florida Evans was the maid on.
John Amos was on one, wasn't he?
Who?
John Amos.
John Amos was on Good Times, and he got fired because he complained about how the scripts were just so lackluster.
But didn't he
the
get
story
his own
goes
sitcom?
Well, he got his own. He did Future Cop afterwards.
Okay, I'm thinking of 704 Hosser. It's like what's
that was the one. That's technically the spinoff.
Okay.
Of after Archie Bunker, I think, kicks off.
Okay.
But. And that was funny because, it was the opposite. The son was a conservative. The father was a liberal.
Yes.
And then Archie Bunker's Place, All in the Family, spins off to Gloria. That was Sally Struthers' show she did for 1 year. That's all I remember about it. Her and Joey move up to New Hampshire or something like that. And Burgess Meredith was the vet. And that's all I remember about it. Oh, yeah, and Archie Bunker makes an appearance in the first episode. Hey, you going to be all right there, little girl? That's all I remember about it. But it's kind of weird when you think about it. It's like, all these shows that spin off, the last 1 year.
Had to be there, had to be watching the same network.
Yeah, it's almost like you're just sitting there, you're like, the network goes, okay, let's give it a spin-off and see what happens. Okay, fine. I'm happy they never spun anything off of Chips.
Oh God. It would have been the end of
or they never spun or they never spun anything. I mean, Doctor Who, yeah, that gave a great spin-off, the Sarah Jane Chronicles and Torchwood.
Right.
Two great spin-offs. Star Trek was going to have a spin-off called Assignment Earth.
And I mean, you mentioned Jason Star Command. That was a spin-off.
Well, it was good. Jason Star Command was a spin-off of Space Academy, And what was it? Do you ever notice Space Academy, when they introduced Jonathan Harris, you keep thinking he's going to be like Dr. Smith, and he's totally not in that show.
Yeah, it's just over familiarity with their pre-established sci-fi role.
He's just he's so just against the grain on that show. He's like, now let me show you what we're going to go where today. It's like, come on, say something to the robot. You bubbling, come on, say you gibbering, jabbering Judas. Come on,
get in, see what you can say. It was an Easter egg.
You cantankerous,
How about Robbie the Robot cameo at least?
It was Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith, what are you doing here at Space Academy? Oh, you bubble-headed booby. You Oh, you. I would love to have heard him say, "Just swear." I would love to have heard Jonathan Smith just swear.
I'm sure he wanted to as well. Is like, see what I can get in there that they won't remove from the
But
broadcast.
I'll I'll tell you what it is with these one season shows. Some of them make a mark on you, and some of them they're like they're like here's the one thing I did find out. A lot of old movie stars were doing shows that were one season.
I had to.
George Kennedy did a show called The Blue Knight,
Yes.
which was a thing that William Holden did as a movie, right?
It's a TV movie of the week, yeah.
TV movie of the week. He does The Blue Knight, which I loved watching. All right, I loved watching that show.
It's a great movie
because I would watch it on repeats. They'd play it on Channel 9. The Persuaders with Roger Moore and Tony Curtis. Two guys not past their prime yet, but still great show to watch. Joe Forrester with Lloyd Bridges.
Yes. He had plenty of those. He was never in any shortage of a TV show, and you just wanted to see him helmet because you just knew he would capture your attention. You know?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you watch Joe Forrester. He's like, I'm a cop, Joe Forrester. I'm like, okay, but you're still Lloyd Bridges, you know.
Right. And like you say, some of these are kind of like, remember that bad movie you grew up watching and it took you a while for it to sink in, realizing how atrocious it was. Some of these shows have that. Like, some of them are just like, oh, poopy. How can I not?
What was I just watching a couple like a week or so ago? I was watching H.G. Wells' The Shape of Things to Come, right? The one with Jack Palance, John Ireland, the guy who played Professor Bergman on Space 1999. I'm trying to remember his name. You know, it's like you watch. Oh, and what's her face from Carol Lindley from the from Poseidon Adventure.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were watching, I was like watching, I was like, holy crow, I couldn't believe. But a lot of these people, hey, they go up to Canada, get paid like $10,000. Well,
I don't know if it'll become a big hit or not.
We'll just throw it out there in the movie theater, see what happens.
There you
but
go.
You got to think, a lot of these guys may have been passed. Like Jimmy Stewart had his own TV show.
Yes.
The Jimmy Stewart show. Granted, it was 2 hours because he would always be going,
Do his best, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, and then he did a show called Hathaway, which was, I think, before that. But there were shows where they would just use the guy's name again, and they did the Andy Griffith Show after he did the Andy Griffith Show.
Basically, it is like, we're going to do my own take on it.
Yeah. Oh, they didn't do Mayberry RFD. No. Andy Griffith's going to be a father. He's not going to be a sheriff. He's going to be like a lawyer. He's got kids, all the other crud that happens,
Here's before comedians were doing it in Hagen, basically a giant station.
Well, he was a comedian, Andy Griffith,
but bigger, 90s, 80s stand-up guys.
Yeah. Like I don't know. It's like when you go down the parallel, it's always going to be either an old movie star who's gotten older, and he's a little long in the tooth, but they'll give him something to work on, or it's a completely unknown show, or it's something that, hey, it's a spin-off. Let's see what happens. Or it's an idea where they're like, hey, let's take this idea and put it over here and change the setting and see what happens. Or it's a great movie, but let's see what happens when we make the movie a TV show. Whoops, so that's it. Whoops. So I think that's how we look. I think that's how we look at everything, those one season shows. I mean, I'm just happy Cop Rock never went to a second season,
Oh, God.
Or Fish Police.
the one that basically assures you that L.A. Law, Hill Street Blues are in the same universe. But I never saw this.
Well,
Fish Patrol. You just said
Fish Police.
Fish Police. Oh my god.
Here's one that nobody will remember. Sidekicks. Ernie Reese Jr. and Gil Gerard.
Was this related to the Chuck Norris movie?
No, not at all. In fact, I think they sued Chuck Norris for the title.
Nice.
But, Chuck Norris can sue himself and still win in court. But we were talking about there's all these shows we got a thunderstorm by me. Hold on. But we were talking about all these bad movies, and it was just like, ugh. Oh man, it's like bad TV shows. It's like sometimes you shake your head and you go, ugh, bad move, and then you get all the reviewers saying, "Oh, we could play Monday Morning Quarterback and say what we want to say here." No. And you got to remember, a lot of these shows, it was still 3 networks.
Yeah. Before Fox and PBS. Yeah.
Before Fox and before UPN and before the CW. It was 3 shows. It was 3 networks. And they had guys that were in a boardroom way above where all the writers were and all the producers and all the directors and all those. There were these guys in a boardroom, and all they looked at was numbers. And somebody would come up with an idea and say, okay, let's make a show about a bunch of guys on a submarine, and it's called Operation Petticoat, but it's not the original Operation Petticoat. It's going to be a remake of Operation Petticoat. Okay, that's a good idea. All right, fine, but let's do this. We put John Astin, who played Gomez, and Gary Collins, okay? And in order to make it connected with the original Operation Petticoat, we're going to have Jamie Lee Curtis in it, who's Tony Curtis's daughter.
There you go.
Sounds like a great idea. Let's see how it goes.
I've heard of this.
Okay. All right. Good. Hey, what's big right now? Oh, Smokey and the Bandit. Okay. I got a great idea. Why don't we get Claude Akins as this bumbling sheriff who we saw in BJ and the Bear as a crooked sheriff, but he's really a bumbling sheriff who wants to get rich quick schemes. And we'll call him Sheriff Lobo. And we'll get Frankie Lane to sing the song. That's great. All right, Sheriff Lobo, here it comes.
Sheriff Lobo.
Oh, bring back Sheriff Lobo.
So this what time and day did this often air at?
Oh, I don't know. Put it on when you want to put it on.
The broadcasters could air it at 2 a.m. when everyone wasn't watching.
Just put it on when no one's looking. I got an idea. Put it on between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock. Why? Because nobody's at home at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock.
We'll acknowledge it.
Yeah. We'll say something about it, and then we'll go home. By the way, who's going to be fired here next week? You, and you. Okay. You greenlit all this stuff? Okay.
Did this last even 13 episodes, or was this 6 episode?
Oh, there's the old saying: if it's 13, if it's 13, if it's 6, it's bad. If it's 13, you had some people watching it, and then they just went, no, we're done here. I don't,
This was the latter, unfortunately.
The latter is the graveyard, 6, 13, 1, 1 episode. There's one show, I think you remember, Heather Graham did it.
God.
It got canned after 2 episodes.
May have
Do you remember that show she did?
Was it?
She did a show. It was Emily Explains It All or something like that.
Oh, God.
I got to look it up. Hold on. I got to look it up. You don't even hear from her anymore.
Yeah.
Heather Graham. Jesus. Hold on. Let me see here. She did a show called.
Yep.
No, she didn't.
Emily's Reasons Why Not. That's right. Yep. Yep.
And it got shit canned. Basically, I think they said you're done because supposedly it was something to do with it was just one airing and that was it. And I remember that show because they got a lot of it was because of the fact that it was a lot of negative stereotypes.
Wow. And see,
Yeah.
half the time it seems like they'll buy it and they're required at minimum to air it, and at the same time, like you say, is like they really don't want to air it, but so they're required by contract to air at least one. So it's
Yeah.
and half
Let's
the
see how this
time
goes.
it's like they don't even read the scripts and see if they think it's funny or entertaining or not. It's a weird predicament.
Well, there was a show called The Last Precinct.
Oh yes, another
with Adam
Police
West,
Academy inspired.
right?
Yep.
Police Academy inspired show. Only on for about maybe 6-10 weeks, and it was kind of like, Adam West was like still not really at the, not to the point where he's going to have his career rebirth with Family Guy, and then
Not
Robert
completely sunk, but get in there.
Yeah, but he was at the point where he'd go out as Batman and be like, I'm a lot better than Keaton. But then he had the rebirth with Batman coming back into the movie theaters and the TV show on, and then he did the Gray Ghost on Batman the animated series.
Yes.
But this to me was like Adam West's, I'm gonna try to be funny no matter what. So I think there's a lot of stuff we got to talk about, like Saturday morning cartoons when we were growing up, and
1,000%. I would definitely love to do that.
the Saturday morning stuff I'd love to talk about because that's like that's a 3-hour show right there.
1,000%.
So
it's all good. We'll get it to an hour. We'll make a list ahead of time, and then
we'll make a list and we'll just look at it and go, okay, we'll talk about this. There's stuff I want to talk about with like Filmation and Hanna-Barbera and Sid and Marty Krofft and all that stuff. So I still think this day Filmation. I still think there's two rivalries. And I let me get off topic here. There was Hanna-Barbera and Filmation, and who could do the better job?
There you go.
Watch Filmation and watch Hanna-Barbera, and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Perfect.
But tonight was fun, man.
Totally.
We
just got into our groove. I was like, can you believe it? This exists?
Yeah. We what gets me tonight is I look at all those shows from the 80s and the 70s when I was growing up, and the 90s, and it was like, okay, I remember it, but I don't remember it. And I'm going to leave you on this note. There was a show Jason Bateman did called It's Your Move.
Oh, God.
It was his show after he appeared as on Silver Spoons, right? As Derek. So he does this show, It's Your Move, right? And then I think he did Teen Wolf 2 like a couple of years after that. But that was a show that was a spinoff of Silver Spoons. How can you warrant a show that's a spinoff of a show like Silver Spoons?
Oh, God. Hey, at least it's Ricky Schroeder free.
Yeah, at least Ricky Schroeder's not there, and he's not putting money up for a guy who shoots people.
Right. He's not supporting Rittenhouses of the world.
He's innocent. Go back to playing the fucking little bastard you
We
were.
were talking NYPD Blue in 24, and we're like, oh, those scenes he's in don't age too well.
And he has to wear his protective underwear. That's the one thing that gets me.
Oh,
Are you wearing your long johns, Mr. Schroeder? I didn't know he was Mormon. I didn't even know he was a Mormon.
Sure don't act like it.
Doesn't act like it.
I think it's just a label. Oh, God.
Oh, wait a minute. You want to know something funny? You want to know something really funny?
I'm here.
Married with Children had a spin-off.
Oh, yeah, with Matt LeBlanc.
Top of the Heap.
Top of the Heap, Matt LeBlanc before he was on Friends. And wasn't
Matt
his character...
LeBlanc and Joe Bologna.
Wow.
And I remember that one scene where the girl says, I want to show you my Rome. I want to show you my Naples. And Matt LeBlanc goes, whoa, here? You know. I can't badmouth Matt LeBlanc. He's a good guy, and I like Man with a Plan. So
that's fine.
On that note,
thank you for being on here. What do you got coming up that you'd like to promote?
I'm going to be working a little bit more on the site. Thank you for inputting your stuff. If you want to put more in, that's fine.
I'll try.
Yeah. I'm actually going to start writing a book about my childhood and the movies that I saw.
Sweet.
Tentatively called I don't know what to call it, but it's going to be about how all the stuff I watched when I was growing up as a kid has affected me and how we remember it. It's it's funny. It's going to be a funny read,
All right.
Like I do the thing about how I watched The Champ with Ricky Schroeder and John Voight when I was a kid, and my father was like telling me, my father was sitting back saying, he's no Wallace, he's no Jackie Cooper. And my father's like, I looked at my father, said, what do you mean by that? He says, one day I'll show you Jackie Cooper and Wallace Beery and The Champ. And my father says that little Ricky Schroeder's a real pain in the ass. We're watching the end. The kids going, yo, come on, Champ, get up, Champ, come on. My father's going, come on, quit with the waterworks, you little shit,
Take the whining out of every otherwise good movie, and you got gold.
Well, I remember seeing him in that movie, The Earthling.
Oh, God.
With William Holden. It was one of William Holden's last movies before he banged his head on a coffee table.
All our grades.
That's how he died.
All our cinema grades, they have an Elvis type death where you're like, of all ways to die, that's terrible.
What, Elvis or William Holden?
Well, I mean, they rival each other.
Elvis died taking a dump. William Holden was drinking.
Right away.
He fell down, banged his head, and cut his head open, and he bled to death.
Terrible ways to find out your talent. It's bad.
Yeah. But it's like okay, see what happens next. So. And then you did it in Saturday Night Live. I think Michael O'Donoghue came up with the idea of the William Holden drinking helmet.
Wow.
God bless Michael O'Donoghue.
No, O'Donoghue.
We'll return after these messages.
Do you ever find yourself thinking about who would win in a fight between Goku and Superman? Hi, I'm James Gavsey, and on the Who Would Win show, me and my co-host Ray ignore anything important happening in the outside world and debate fictional battles between characters from comics, movies, and video games.
We got a new show every week, and almost always am I the winner.
Yeah, not true, Ray.
In the past, we've discussed such matches as Captain America versus Darth Vader, Solid Snake versus the Iron Giant, classic matchups like RoboCop versus Terminator, and even the Muppets versus Sesame Street.
That one was crazy. So if you're a fan of geek culture and love a spirited debate, check out the Who Would Win show wherever you get your podcasts, or check us out at whowouldwinshow.com.
We let things pile up in the DVR, we add them to our queues, we wait for the DVDs and Blu-rays. We time shift. The Time Shifters Podcast. Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, superheroes, comedy, action, film, television, maybe some not-so-current events. Find us on iTunes or at timeshifterspodcast.com.
Cool thing about Blind Knowledge is we are in multiple countries. We are worldwide all across the globe. We are in the US. We are in the UK. We are in Canada, Germany, India, Japan. We're in Australia, y'all. BlindKnowledge.com. Now back to the feature presentation.
Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Naruto, all things that we love, all manga that were originally published in the legendary magazine Weekly Shonen Jump.
But not every series can run for 300 chapters and have a hit anime. This is David.
This is Jordan.
We're the hosts of Shonen Flop. Each episode we look at manga that ran in Jump that didn't quite make it.
We discuss what it did wrong, what it did right, how the series could have turned itself around, and ultimately, was it a flop or not?
We're on all your favorite podcast apps, and you can find us at shonenflop.com.
Keep on flopping, floppers.
Follow us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a Jack